This is going to be the video on how to put together Student Video Productions shoulder rig. It's going to be a nice step-by-step situation. If you're ever unsure how to put this thing together, don't worry. This video is going to show you how. This is what you should open your case up and see. This is the lens ring. Basically, it's an adapter. So you can use the follow focus, which is this thing. And then this is the left hand handle on my left hand, as you can see. This is HDMI cord. This is the right hand handle adapter, because we will be using the handle that comes with the C100 and attach it to this thing. Battery and battery charger, respectively. This is the monitor. And last but not least, the shoulder rig itself. Now the shoulder rig should look like this when you open it up. And when you put it away, it should look like this. Let's put this thing together. We'll put this thing to use. Okay, so putting this thing together. I usually just start with this. And I use like a flat surface, because if you don't work on a flat surface, it's difficult. It's just challenging. The first thing I'd say, take off the base plate. It works basically the same as a tripod base plate. The C100 just sits right on there, same way. I unscrewed this little portion right here, this little screw. And then when you pull this out, you have to hit this little button right here. It comes out just like that. You take your C100, as shown here. Obviously you have this whole real estate to work with. I recommend, especially if you're using the follow focus, you'll want the camera to kind of sit right here on the shoulder rig, and that's because with the follow focus, this guy, it won't be able to reach your lens if it's sitting right here and your lens is right here. That's why you'll want to have it sit further up. So I usually just put it all the way up, kind of like right next to the little white arrow right there. So something that's super important about the base plate is that it's on real tight, and that's because you'll have the follow focus sit right up next to the lens, because that's what it's for. If the camera is not tight on the base plate, it will start moving, usually like away from the follow focus, and then you'll have to take the camera off again and tighten it. You don't want to strip the screw when you are tightening the base plate. Like, don't make it impossible to take off, but make it nice and snug. It's for the best. To put this back on, you just slide this right on in, and then tighten where you untightened the base plate. You might find that the little screw over here interacts with the C100. You might have to nudge this around a little bit. But yeah, so you have the C100 right on top of the shoulder rig. Next thing you do is put on the monitor. I'm zooming in because the details are important and my face is not. The next thing you got is this nice monitor. Basically, this is the lock for it. And this little knob right here is to tighten like the rotation. And this just kind of slides right on top of this guy. You might have to give it a little push, but you'll hear it click. And then you can tighten it by just pushing down on this red little lever. You have the monitor on. This thing will be twisty. We tried figuring that out and we didn't figure it out. Next thing, follow focus. This knob here dictates back and forth, I guess you could say. And then this is to tighten on the rails. So these little blue guys, that's what this knob does. What I recommend doing first is kind of making it kind of loose. So that's on there. Line this up with the focus ring of your lens. Give some space. Don't tighten this part yet. What you want to do next is put on the focus ring. Try to make it in line with the other rings. So basically you want even spacing throughout the focus ring, because if it kind of goes across or diagonal of the focus ring, it's going to lose the follow focus. So just kind of make that nice. Do this. This part of the follow focus lines up with the focus ring. Once this is pretty well situated, you'll turn the bottom knob and you'll notice now when I move this that the actual focus ring is being moved. And that's the nice ease of access with the C100 on this shoulder rig. You can set your focus distance with these little guys. All you have to do is just tighten these. You limit the focus distance. Then you don't have to worry about getting things really exact when you're shooting. If these are ever tight, you can just loosen them. Next, we're going to finally put on the arms. We're gonna take off the C100 handle. Let's put on the left one first, just so that, oh my God. Yeah, so this doesn't happen. So this is when you kind of have to be very patient and gentle with yourself. So this just screws in on one of the little adapters. That sits right here. This is the left handle. This guy, you just loosen, falls like that. This guy screws into here. And then this is the adapter for the C100 handle. Usually it's good to make sure that the wires stick close to the shoulder rig. Now this is really important. So listen, when you're plugging this in, you want to make sure that when you're plugging in the C100 handle, that this clicks. Else you're going to run across some issues when you hit this button. It won't work. Always check to see if this connection is completely pushed in. We're going to knock this down a little bit. Right here is a little knob, right here, where you can make that longer. Just gonna make these kind of even because that makes life easier. Last but not least, the HDMI cord, and then the battery for the monitor. The little red light for the monitor should go on. You can turn it on if you want. You probably want to do that. And then for the monitor, you're going to do HDMI in because there's going to be information from the C100 going in to the monitor. That's how I remember it. All right, so the thing about this shoulder rig is that, again, it's super adjustable, super customizable. That's why we got it, because it's nice and easy to just kind of make your own. The thing is, customizing it and adjusting it to fit your needs takes a little bit of finessing. So feel free to take as long as, oh, well, look at that. This is actually really comfortable. Okay, that was a nice surprise. Hopefully you don't have to hold a shoulder rig for more than a couple hours. Speaking from experience, it does get kind of heavy. A lot of the weight does best when it's on your shoulder. So adjust it so that more of the weight is on your shoulder than your arms. If you're not particularly endowed with muscles in your arms, then it's best to put that weight on the center, like on your torso. So this, as we mentioned before, kind of adjusts. Some people like it really close. Create a triangle, nice and smooth motion, nice and tight. If you're like me, usually have it out all the way. I kind of like that. Now the hand grips are really important to have comfortable. I find that super important. This is adjustable right here for the left hand. And I usually have it pointing up a little bit, but not too much. If you have particularly small hands, it might be hard to have like a solid fit for these handles. But overall, if you get the point right, it's not too bad. This is also adjustable, the C100 handle, but usually keeping it vertical or near vertical is best, in my opinion. Or forward. Some people like it forward. I'm going to put mine forward. So when you're using a shoulder rig, it's really nice. I have a tendency to keep it sideways. So sometimes you might have to monitor the monitor. You'll look at it and you'll see that it's kind of, the image is crooked. When you're using the follow focus, kind of just one hand, hold it. You can always put that elbow right on your body so that more of the weight is on your body. Triangles are nice. Zooming, you can still zoom. You just have to one-hand things. Taking it apart, it's really important that you put it away the way it came back. I'll be sure to go over that as well. This is the part of the video where I'm just gonna take it apart and please follow how I do that, because when it's not put away correctly, it breaks my heart. Please put it away correctly. Easiest thing to do is the monitor first. You'll want to hit this little button below the battery. You just push that, here, click, and then push this out. A little bit of force there, but not too much. Stick that in the appropriate spot. We're gonna zoom in. So this is how you take this part apart. All you gotta do is lift this red knob. And then you notice it goes up and down. And then all you gotta do is make sure this is kind of just pushed in. And then it comes off like that. Take out the HDMI and then it goes into its respective place. It'll look like this when you take it off and when you put it in. This thing stays on the shoulder rig. Keep it there. It likes the shoulder rig. They're friends. They love each other. It's a platonic, loving relationship. Next thing you want to do is loosen the follow focus. So now it can kind of go back and forth. Then I got the screw under here. Make sure this is off completely. Pops right off. This part needs to be tightened so that it looks like this. The HDMI now should be easy to get out. Just have to untangle it. And if you don't know the under-over technique, look it up online. I promise it's worth it. It's worth your time. So now we're gonna take off the handles. So what I recommend doing is loosening both of them so that this shoulder rig sits practically straight. That's almost straight. You'll take this off, and then it kind of just sits on the table. That's like that. You just take off the left handle. This whole thing will come off. This is still on here, but now I can line this parallel with the shoulder rig itself. This sits basically as close to the other little, I don't know, what do you call that, attachment part. It sits right next to it. It doesn't have to be completely parallel. This comes off the adapter. Gently pull that off. And then also use the under-over technique if you can to put this in its spot. You tighten this so that it's not all loose. If you adjusted the handle before, basically just adjust it so that it's perpendicular with the arm, and then you take off the C100. So unloosen the little knob right here that you had. Don't forget to hit the button in the far back. Take off the follow focus adapter ring. That just kind of lays in there. Don't forget to take off the base plate. It will not fit in the C100 case if you forget to put it in, so it shouldn't be too hard to forget. Oh man, I'm bending my key. I gotta stop using that key. Oops, I just have a copious amount of change in my pocket. Don't judge. That just slides right in. Lock it. At the end, the shoulder rig should look like this. This little appendage right here sitting parallel. This arm here sitting nearly parallel with the rods. And then you just follow the indentations on the fabric. Stick that in there, and that's it. So that's how to put together a shoulder rig and take it apart. That's been the video. I hope you enjoy it, and thanks for being a part of SVP.